I think it's normally that long either way. So, yeah.
All right, we're going to get started here. While everything is turning on to the live show, Facebook.
Guys, my line today is.
Hold on.
Yeah, my line maybe drop on. Yeah, today the line look good.
Your light is good. Your light's good.
Okay.
Yeah. You're good.
Right.
So, welcome to Bridges Live, Voices to be Heard. And myself, Dr. Paul Dyer, and my co-host, Tamara Randolph. Please welcome back, everyone. Tamara, tell us what your week's been going.
Super busy week. Tried to take a little bit of time off, but obviously
What?
today,
What?
I know. Surprised myself.
Wait a minute. You mean you're going to take care of yourself?
I know. It was very surprising. Yes.
Well, now you got to tell us what you did. Did you go to Disneyland? Did you fly out of the country? What'd you do?
No, I bought a fire pit for my backyard, and I made some s'mores, and it was amazing. So.
See,
that's it.
Hey, it's not that's awesome. Because how long did it take you to decide on which fire pit?
It did take me a while, and I still feel like when I pull everything together, I'm going to replace it. But for right now, that was good. A great buy from Walmart, purchase, pick up situation. So it was great.
So Tamara, tell us people who are new to us to why we started Voices to be Heard.
Yeah, of course. So I run a nonprofit women's organization locally here in Maryland for domestic violence victims. And we just started this podcast because we wanted to give women and people an opportunity to share their story, encourage others to get out of those toxic situations, or just showing them that it's okay that you're going through this. There are other people that may be going through the same thing, and we can all get through this together. So here we're able to hear stories from different people that some may or may not relate to, and then we want to also provide resources for you to take back with you as well. So always a blessing to be able to share each week we can.
You know, and if anyone ever has a question about what they're doing and they want to do it anonymous, you can inbox us. You don't have to put your name. And we have resources. We have the hotlines. But if you're in a specific area in a part of the country and you hear this and you don't know who to go to, please reach out to us because we do have connections with people in different states and on all states across the world, across the country that we can get you in touch with to get you protected. We will get you safe. I understand that you may not feel safe at this time. You may feel like you're all alone. You may feel like, I'm doing this all by myself and no one is here to help me. But that's why we did this show, so you can hear our voices, because there's voices to be heard, and we want to hear your voice. We want to make sure you're okay.
Yes, we do. And it's a pandemic still, affecting everyone differently across the country and worldwide. And sometimes really, we are all kind of, we should be kind of secluded and isolated with either ourselves or with families. But like Dr. Paul said, we want you all to know that you're not alone and we're here, accessible. And if you do need help, reach out. We're super happy to help.
Now, we have a guest on the show, Dr. Shauna Young, and she's calling. She's really super tired. She's been watching our inauguration. She lives in Malaysia. It's all kinds of crazy time because she's in our tomorrow. Her today is out tomorrow. I mean, that's a funny thing to say. I mean, it is
21st of January.
Yeah,
it's the 21st of January for her, and we're still living in our 20th.
And what time is it there?
Now it's morning, 8:30.
8:30 a.m.
So that's why I always adjust the time with Dr. Paul and say, okay, your time is 7:30.
Right.
Or 20. Make sure we don't miss the time.
Right.
Not into the wrong timing.
Right.
Yeah. So good morning and good night.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much.
Very happy to see you, Tamara.
You as well.
But Dr. Shauna Young, I want you to tell your story. I know your story. We're friends, and we work together and do things together. But I want you to tell your story about, because where you came from, the situation you were in, and now who you are. Please tell your story.
Basically, yeah, it's I was from domestic violence, and I never know what is domestic violence until I have gone through it, because um, in many women didn't know that you are actually being violent. The definition of violence, many women is not really well educated, so um, that's where we comes in to tell women this is not okay. In what situation you are actually under suppressed. So I have been suppressed for more than a decade, and until today, we still have the violence in terms of after um, we call it post divorce or post post degree night site. Okay, in a law term, it's for after 6 years. Yeah, still the same thing as if it's a violence in it's not physical now, it's more on mental, yeah, financial, and also psychologically, and it will affect the children because I have two children. So when you gone through the violence of physical, it was badly abused, and you would think that you are the wife, is this right to be abused? And it's right to just succumb to whatever situation, because that is your husband, and you would think that yeah, women is always weak, yeah, because I'm a very soft-spoken person in nature, and I do not know how to fight back. Okay, this is the things that I yeah, many of my friends was like more fierce than me. They say I will use the knife to go and cut him already. So so that's where when you are being suppressed, when you are under control. Okay, God bless. I have gone through all the violence except sexual abuse. That's a God bless. Okay, because I heard sexual abuse or violence, even from husband, it will be bad. So we kind of like separated for 10 years in different rooms, just live in the same roof. Many people say in the divorce time, okay, you must understand the divorce and the law of divorce and family law. It will help you to understand, but you need to have the courage. You need to know when you're supposed to leave and when you think that you should leave. And I understand that in the law, in the 2 years, you have no intimacy, you could consider is a separation. But a lot of times it's because of children. If it's don't want to affect their growing up, and they're still young, and mother is need to. My focus is more on the children. I want to see them well, growing up properly. Before I file a divorce, that I think I have a strong case. And I have the IPO interim protection order to protect me and my children when the violence was severe. It is also involve the police to come to rescue us. And that is the long process. The process is not very pleasant because you need to show your bruises, you need to show you are being hit, and you need to show immediately. You need to queue to the, it's a local government hospital, because private hospital, the law does not as that. Okay, and so all this is stress. So violence is gone through when you have a lot of stress, and I need to go through all this, and actually I took my PhD during the period of time of divorce, for 7 years ago. I think. Yeah, 7 years ago. It's just a long time, but it's just like sounds like and it takes a lot of courage for me to continue to study, to stay focused, and take care of two children, and also looking for a new job. So education is very important to women to have a better opportunity. That one I must say is true. Yeah. Without education, that's why I always not only stress on domestic violence, but I always encourage women pick up some skills, some educate, to come back for any trainings, to go through a proper education that will help you to have a more job opportunity and career advancements. Especially as a single woman, single mother, you need to study and you need to work and you need to balance well. I don't know how I did it, but I got blessed. I had a wonderful years. Although I think you need to learn how to balance up your emotion to stay strong. Easy to stay strong, but very individually. So we don't impose to any of the people to follow suit what you have gone through. This is very important. I don't tell them why you are not like me, why you want to stay, why, because everyone have different stage of courage.
Yes.
So when the minutes come, you will, your instinct will tell you. So, and also that you must be well educated on law. You must have, you must understand what is marriage law, that you have your rights to say no. So when I filed my divorce in 7 years ago, so that's where it went haywire, because because the perpetrator may want to control you, okay, for financial reason, for face reason, for ego reason, but there's no love. You must, most importantly, when you are in divorce, you must understand you have no more love. Love is very important to any of the relationship, but if there's no more, it's hard to carry on anymore. Okay, even you hold on with that's how I see the whole thing. So you have to be very firm with your decision when you file. You cannot like go back and then your
Dr. Shanna, hold
yeah.
on. Tamara, she said something that we've talked about before, and it's the C word, that courage.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is so attractive when you're on the other side. But it's difficult to see your courage when you're in. How did you see your courage, Dr. Shanna, when you were going through that? I mean, where did your courage come, but how did you see your courage?
When I see no more hope, okay, no more love, and totally waste of time, and you want to have new life, and you see that your children is growing up, can be with you independently. They're very important. That one is the most important. I should put in the first one. So your children must be able to be with you, stay comfortably mentally. Mental is very important, so that they understand why you want to divorce. And I don't want to affect their growing up for their future marriage. I want them to have happy marriage. So in order to do that, you as a mother, you must be respected. Okay? So my children respect me a lot. So you must be respected. You must be able to evaluate what is the pro and cons. Okay? When you leave, are you able to stand independently? Are you be able to survive by yourself? When you are your perpetrator is violence character, and that's violent character normally in we Chinese. Okay, I'm although I'm Malaysian, but I'm Chinese. Okay, Malaysian Chinese. So we believe that not only we believe, like I think this is true, that a person characteristic is in you, and you don't expect to change a person. Okay, for you can't even see there's a change. So so the only change that I want is the courage is I make sure my mental is fully equipped. That's the courage. Your mental has to be fully equipped. That whatever situation, you will just say no. I want back my freedom in terms of love freedom. Okay, and I don't have any affair. I don't have any adultery. It's just not working. Even until now, I don't have any boyfriend. It's the same. It's just not easy for you to fall in love again. Okay, it's just you need to find a right person that is able to mentally click. It's because I'm already 40, so it's not. You must be able to stand alone. That you will not cry anymore. It's very important because when women cry, when women emotional, you are woman Tamara. It's going to be
Yeah,
heavy.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being emotional. I think
Yeah,
that's reality, but I understand what you mean by showing. Sometimes we don't want to show that emotion because then
yeah.
that others may portray that as us being
It's
weak.
weak, right? Yeah.
But that's
Even
not.
men cry too, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
cry all the time, so I'm a flubbering fool, so I'm okay with it. But
But I think
but I'm
it's
a little bit
okay.
different.
Yeah, I think
We
it's
cry.
okay for us to show that emotion because we had, in your case, you were married for X amount of years and have taken on that and just bearing all of that pain and suffering for so long. It's normal for you to have emotions about that, and
It's
even
not bearable anymore. The most
yeah,
important thing is not bearable anymore.
right,
You don't want to
right,
be hit like suddenly go into a room. You have read so many articles and the
yeah,
journals that
yeah,
many of the women facing are what I was facing before. That suddenly they will change the lock of the door. They will lock you up. He even throw my computer, damage the whole thing. How am I going to finish my PhD?
right,
So let me
you
ask
know,
you.
I left also at the very right time because that will not affect my PhD. Honestly, you need a peaceful PhD. It's very exhausted, time consuming in terms of reading.
So
When you don't have environment, you can't pursue
you
your
just
study
need
anymore.
peace. You need some
Yeah,
peace.
we
you need
know
peace.
we know around the globe, around the country, but in Malaysia, give us some idea. What is the domestic violence like in Malaysia? Because you do a lot of advocacy work there now. So tell us about the. There's still a lot, and that's sad. Whether it's here, there, Malaysia, there's a lot of domestic violence.
Oh yeah, it's increasing, especially of the COVID-19, and this is really a crisis within crisis because you already have violence, you already facing marital. Violence means you have marital problems. That's be more specific. So you already have married problem, and you still have to stuck two of you in the same house and not able to go out. That's why the world everyone was saying that COVID actually triggered a higher, maybe 5 times more, or I read the latest news is 5 times more in terms of violence in the domestic house because you two both it just cannot, and then some more you are suffering with financial problem, and the women cannot go out to like quietly. Some are their housewife, so they cannot quietly go out to earn some money to have a breather to leave a little bit of a gap between the perpetrator.
Right.
So the perpetrator is like even more violent. Some really suffering from sexual violence
Hmm.
and and physical violence, and the children will be affected because the most why I always emphasize because I'm a mother and I am very much focused on children. So you cannot let the children see the violence. It will affect them. I took long time to change their mentality. It's not easy. It will affect them because they are still young. Their brain. I mean, Dr. Paul is also very much of a science. The brain is very soft, not like us so hard already. Saturated. They are so soft like a sponge. They absorb information. So they see you violence, they think it's right. So that's where I have to put a stop to say, it's not right. That's why the parents separated, and that's where the cause of the divorce. So you know that you cannot bully women because I have two boys. So yeah. So I have seen a lot of cases in Malaysia. It's like mainly in the rural area a lot because I think men education is also will affect the violence behavior. Lower education men will tend to be more violent because they can't even earn up to the certain income. And I think that will also one of the factors. I don't say mainly the reason, but it's one of the main factors that they will actually have this violent behavior. And and also not only the rural area, even in the urban area like KL is actually quite high in terms of violence, domestic violence. That could be due to adultery, affair, then they quarrel and they will tend to have violence. So violence increase.
What do you think? In Malaysia? What do you think? Does the government, the police, are they helpful to the people that are? You're already shaking your head. You're already doing that. You're already.
That was a part of my.
You're already like no.
Yeah, that was a part of my question too, because before you were mentioning like, you have to show bruises.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what if they don't have any bruises and it's more of the
more on the mental, right?
Yeah, more
how
mental, emotional. How
emotional.
What kind of support or help is there for women?
That's where WAO comes in, because WAO have the hotline, and now it's very much active in the not hotline, it's more on the WhatsApp, because it's more private, and then usually they will WhatsApp when the perpetrator will not be aware that they are actually chatting with the help, the helpline. I also want to be one of the the team to advise them, when they are in stress, they will say, they mentally and all this, because many of the time, right, perpetrator is very smart as well. They say, I don't hit you, so how? So you cannot, okay, then you don't have the evidence. So when you want to have the evidence that time, he might know also that you are going to report to police. So he may stop you from reporting to police, may lock you. Few more days, the bruises are gone. So you go to police, and police don't trust you. Some of the police, they will think that this is just another case, it's just a family. I think you need a marriage counselor rather than, Yeah, this is one of what I read in the journal as well. There's this black woman was hit by the husband and pull her to the mirror, saying that who wants you? You're a black woman. And then when she took drugs, because she's stressed, and then overdosed, and then she was admitted to hospital, and then the nurse will say that she overheard the nurse would say, oh wow, there's another day that she comes. She will go tomorrow. You see, they still even have the support, mental support from the community. If they see you like you are very, just another marriage problem, they will classify you as a marriage problem, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we are very strong in terms of supporting women in WAO. If you need help, yes, we don't give you advices to ask you to do anything, because we hear from you. You might have difficulty, you might not have money if you leave. That's why you might not be stay independent. You might just need somebody who hear from you. You might want to cry. So that's where WAO comes in to support. But I think they are doing quite a fantastic job, and but it's not enough, because the hotline and the WhatsApp, it's like
it's never enough. It's just flat out never enough.
Yeah, it's not enough, because the line, the people who chat and all this, you need more people to support and be able to advise them. Yeah.
I'm going to throw out a sci-fi question, and I want you to look at it this way. We always need to be proven evidence, and we were talking about this off air, Tamara, about martial law, about the things that were going on down in D.C. Would you be open to having, lack of a better word, Big Brother always watching, so they could determine these things, good or bad? Would you welcome that in your home?
Yes.
Tamara?
No, I wouldn't. I would want in the event I need to reach out, I want that support there. I shouldn't have to show like a dissertation long or, an encyclopedia full of evidence. I should be able to say, this is what's happening, and my word is taken. And then, whatever else needs to follow after that. But I'm not, I am not for the big brother.
I'm not either, but what concerns me, because it always goes badly fast for the small things, like we see you doing this and we don't approve. You know what I mean? It could go that way, but then I look at it like with Shannon's case, where people have to prove that this is happening for you to actually do something.
Yeah.
It
That's the part. Yeah, it's
yeah.
a catch 22 there. And I mean, I think here it is, there tends to be a few more resources available, and it doesn't take it. You don't necessarily have to show a physical, some type of bruise or anything like that now. But I know for a number of years that was the case,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't until there were organizations, and just people, not even an organization, but just people that were willing to help and step in and say, I've been through this is not right, and this is how I'm going to pull my sister or help my sister get out of it. It wasn't until a number of those people, women, men included, that were willing to put their foot down and say, we need to figure this out, because we can't keep going down this path. And like you mentioned, Dr. Shana, we have a long way to go. But it's people like yourself that's devoted to the cause and making it a priority to tell women it is okay, we can get through this. And given all the stipulations, we know you have to meet all of these, all of this criteria in order for someone to even listen. But you are an example of how you can get out and how there's a way to get out of that situation. So I think, we have to continue to fight and continue to press forward and, knock on those doors of the legislators that can make those improvements, that it doesn't have to take a ton for a woman to be believed.
That and I think we have to streamline a way for a person to believe that they're in danger, because I think that happens with the violence. I think that happens with sex trafficking or trafficking. I think it's like, did this child just run away, or is it just being a teenager? They'll be back home in 24 hours. I think those things are just, I think there's something wrong with that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, because I know we all hear about stories where there could be a child that's missing. And I think, like the stipulation, and I may be wrong, but I believe it's still 24 hours. You kind of got to wait, or whatever the amount of time is. Like, why? If I'm saying, like, I know my child,
Right.
My child is normally here by 3 p.m. and they are not, like, why can't that be cause to go and, to start that search process? So there's, like I mentioned before, there's definitely a way that we still have to get to, but I just think we got to be diligent in creating opportunities such as this podcast and the work you're doing, Dr. Shana, there, just for us to continue to work and figure out ways to provide those resources that people need, so that they are believed and we can present, and it's not so hard to get help. And like you mentioned, if someone just needs to talk things through, that shouldn't be a hard thing to find. I should be able to use my phone or the WhatsApp or whatever, whatever that tangible piece of device or resource is. I should be able to use that easily and get access to that.
Dr. Shannon, before we go and let people know, we listen to Voices to be Heard. Voices to be Heard is about, we talk about domestic violence.
Yeah, I just adding to right there.
Oh, hold on, you're frozen a little bit. But we're talking about domestic violence. We're talking about how we can help, how we can be friends, how we can support each other. But my question for you, Dr. Shannon, is what laws do you think needs to get better in Malaysia for this to be better?
I think currently they don't have a domestic violence. The domestic violence acts need to be strengthened. like stalking is not in the Domestic Violence Act, that we are trying to push stalking to be the one of the stalking acts, because perpetrator is stalking at you. So I think that one, we need to scrutinize to tighten the domestic violence in what some of the circumstances that women can access, can have the rights is more to stop the violence. The law is to impose when you need to stop a person, correct? If it's like in the red light, you need to stop. Green light, you need to go. Why? Because if you don't have the traffic law, everyone can just go crisscross and just accident every day. So this law is to stop certain behavior, and is to stop certain violation of serious violation. That's why we have to eliminate the violence against women in terms of physically, mentally, socially, psychologically, financially, economically, and cyber attack, and also, so many sexual attack. Yes, they may suddenly they will attack you in one another way. So the stalking act, that one that's what we are pushing on is something that I think we should actually to push on the stalking. And I think cyber attack now is also one of cyber stalking as well. Not only stalking physically, but cyber stalk, yes. Because they will check your Google, your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever you do, they start collecting information to file against you.
There's a lot of men out there who cyber stalk people they have been in relationships with, people they have known, and they follow them around on their footprints and all that stuff. I mean, it is they're disturbed. People who do that, it is a disturbance that is far beyond, because it's not even up front. They do it without you noticing, so it's even weirder. It seems to me. It seems almost more dangerous to me.
Yeah, it is. It is. I agree.
It is, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, and also why we establish a hotline with because sometimes women like to talk to somebody that they feel can be trusted, but it's not someone who is close to them, like their relative. They may not comfortable. Even their mother, they say, they may not give you a good advices. They will say that just hang on with your marriage. Some very traditional one.
Sometimes
they will just say it's a stigma.
Yeah, exactly, a stigma.
Yeah, they will find stigma. Yeah, they will think that it's a stigma, it's a shameful and all this. You even not comfortable to talk with them, because it's like they were always negative, they're positive. I say, okay, just leave. Will they?
If it was just easy, I would have left already.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we take off,
thank you so much for all your work.
Before we take off, is there anything you want to say to the women and the people? What do you want to tell them, Dr. Shannon?
Again, I have many webinars on this, and my closing speech is always to tell women, you have to understand your rights. Women's right is human's rights, and you must understand marriage law. That's why you must understand your religion as well, your culture, that play a very important role, and you must understand your social, because culture is a social cycle, that whether your religion allowed you to do that. That's why many people go for Christianity now. I also do some research and a presentation to prepare for my Mrs. World Peace. So I do some study on religion. Actually, it's a very strong impact on how people associate you when you are a divorcee, and when you are a single mother. They totally disagree, especially Hindu and Indian. They feel ashamed. It's a stigma in their society, and not only stigma in their society, it's stigma in your ancestor. They have a lot of this, and when you marry a man, whether he's good to you, whether he kill you, You have to stay with him not only to this year, not only next year. It's your next,
The
your
next lifetime.
past, present, and future life. That I think is this forever. You cannot escape already.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. You're like, Tamara's like, no.
Future life. I was like, oh my god, future life. No, then you're die already. You're dead because they're not accepting you, and that's why what will cause the most severe one is committing suicide because you can't leave, you can't.
Right. You can never leave this life or the next.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you will continue suffering, and if they cannot tolerate, what they do is they really will commit suicide.
Well,
It's the worst thing that we want to do. So my message to women is know your marriage right, know your human rights, know your women's rights. What is law for you, and you know what is domestic violence, and know what is the symptoms. Because that's where we actually do a lot of webinars, like Tamara said, is maybe we just keep telling people what is symptoms as well. That when you find something is they do not respecting you, is not okay.
Yeah, it's not
Women
okay.
must be respected. Yes.
It's gotta be
Whether you're whatever skin tone. Yeah.
Your worth is important, and
Your worth.
in
Yes.
Malaysia, it seems like it's hard to, some women may not have access to learn the law and learn all of the different things. But I think regardless of how much education, regardless of the religion, I think women and we as people know if something isn't right, if we aren't being treated right, then we need to get that courage we were talking about earlier, find that inner peace and that courage to get out of the situation and use the resources that you've provided, Dr. Shana, and
Yes.
calling the hotline, figuring out if there's a friend or someone we can talk to get some courage and get that strength to get out of the situation and find out which ways we can do it. So
and a safe place, you got the safe space to, the safe space is important when they want to escape. Where do we going to go? And I think we as doing the NGO, whether you're in Maryland, I think it's very good that we have this kind of NGO, like we have WAO, to provide the services, provide the support. I don't say service, it's a support. To women. Is a support, to women that, to me it's like I don't get any, I really do it out from the heart. It's to support. And I love humankind. I think human beings should be treated equally, fairly, respectfully. So I feel meaningful when I do NGO work, non-profit, and I feel so much of relief because through you help people, you actually release your
yourself.
How to say it? Yourself.
It's your passion.
Just happy to. Yeah.
As we close out here, Voices to be Heard, we will be back on in 2 weeks. Every other weekend, we're here, Voices to be Heard. Thank you, Dr. Shannon Young, for coming on, visiting with us, and sharing your story. And your story is important to us, and it's important to everyone. And
thank you.
You know what's sad?
I hope so.
It is. What makes me happy, ultimately happy, is that across the many waters and lands between here and there, we have the same passion, story, and courage to continue to keep doing. I find joy in that. What about you, Tamara?
I agree. I totally agree. It was refreshing in some way to see that we have someone thousands of miles from us across many borders that's kind of fighting the same fight we are here. And, we are all, I think we should all look to be one community,
right,
we are all trying to support and uplift each other. And like you mentioned, Dr. Shana, just feeling a sense of self and peace and comfort and knowing that for me, it's more of my purpose. I feel blessed and honored that I'm able to provide some encouragement or enlightenment, even if it's just for one person. I feel like that was one of the reasons I'm here on this earth to do. So I am honored to meet you, Dr. Shana, and hopefully we'll be.
Yeah, we can do something. That's where the world piece of my background. Yeah.
I will make sure we guys connected again. Love you guys.
Yeah, sure.
And I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Have a great night.
Tamara. Take care, Dr. Bye.
While everything is turning on to the live show, Facebook.